this video, we will learn how to solve quadratic equations by the quadratic formula. When we have a quadratic equation in the form of a squared plus b plus c equals 0, then this equation can be solved directly by this formula. We can calculate that x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Take a look at this example. Here we want to solve x in this equation, x squared minus 5x minus 24 equals 0. This equation can actually be solved by the factor method, but this time let's try to use the quadratic formula. Okay, we can solve it by considering this formula so that we have minus b here. B is minus 5, so we have minus 5, and then plus or minus b squared is minus 5 squared minus 4ac. A is 1 in this case because the coefficient of x squared is 1, and then c is minus 24, and then over 2a, 2 times 1. And then we can simplify this a little bit. It is equal to 5 plus or minus square root of 25 plus 96 over 2. And that means it is equal to 5 plus or minus square root of 121 over 2, which is equal to 5 plus or minus square root 121 is 11. So it is 5 plus or minus 11 over 2. So we know that it should be equal to 5 plus 11 over 2 or 5 minus 11 over 2. That means it is equal to 8 or minus 3. Now let's take a look at another example. Here we want to solve x in this equation, 2x squared plus x minus 6 equals 0. Again, we can make use of this quadratic formula. That means x is equal to minus b, b is 1 in this case, plus or minus square root of b squared means 1 squared, minus 4a, a is 2, c is minus 6, and then over 2a. And then we can simplify this. This is equal to minus 1 plus or minus 1 plus 48 over 4, which is equal to minus 1 plus or minus square root of 49 over 4. That means it is equal to minus 1 plus or minus 7 over 4, which means it is equal to minus 1 plus 7 over 4 or minus 1 minus 7 over 4. That means it is equal to 3 over 2 or minus 2. Now let's take a look at a more complicated example. Here we want to solve x in this quadratic equation, 2x squared plus 4x minus 1 equals 0. And again we can use the quadratic formula. So x is equal to minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And that means it is equal to minus 4 plus or minus square root of 16 plus 8 over 4, which is equal to minus 4 plus or minus root 24 over 4. Okay, this answer is not good enough because this third can be further simplified like this. It is equal to minus 4 plus or minus 2 times root 6 over 4. And now in the numerator and the denominator there is a common factor, which is 2. And that means it can be further simplified like this. And this is the final answer in this question, minus 2 plus or minus root 6 over 2. Now let's take a look at this question. If we want to solve x in this quadratic equation, and when we consider the quadratic formula, we'll find that the number inside the square root is equal to 0, because 4 squared minus 4 times 4 is 0. That means the answer this time has no this square root part because root 0 is 0. So that's minus 4 plus or minus 0. That means minus 4 over 8. So the answer is only minus half. Finally, let's take a look at this quadratic equation. If we want to solve x by considering the quadratic formula, we'll find that x is equal to minus 2 plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And that means it is 2 plus or minus 4 minus 20 over 2. And this time we will see, okay, the number inside the square root sign is actually a negative number. That means this part is non-real, it is not real. And therefore our conclusion is that, okay, it has no real roots. Because square root of minus 16 is not a real number, so we can conclude that it has no real roots.